Hi, folks. I'm Kevin Smith, one of the pastors here at Hope Lutheran Church. Glad to be with you again today. I remember one of the words I learned in my English class, at some point anyway. It was the word metaphor. And a metaphor is kind of an imaginative way of describing something by referring to something else, which is the same in a particular way. A metaphor. And metaphors can be a bit troublesome. I remember some of these metaphors growing up. I remember when I first heard my parents say that of a neighbor, that he laid at death's door, but the doctors pulled him through. And I wondered as a kid, well, which way? Which way? Then there was another neighbor across the alley who got lit up every Saturday night. And so I would peek out the window just to see how that person glowed, how he glowed. Or the neighbor lady, my parents would say, she was beside herself. She was beside herself. And as a kid, I thought, well, had she become twins? Or a friend of mine, later on, we would say, he smoldered with anger. And I fully expected sparks to come out of his head. Metaphors. A recent metaphor that I came across from Pastor Rick Warren that I think is very instructive and intriguing and helpful is this statement. He said, relationships are a raincoat in life's storms. Relationships are a raincoat in life's storms. I love these words from Ecclesiastes 4, verse 9, from the Good News Translation. Ecclesiastes 4, chapter 4, verse 9. Two are better off than one. If one of them falls down, the other one can help him up. But if someone is alone and falls, it's just too bad because there's no one to help him. Relationships, says Rick Warren, are a raincoat during the storms in life. When friends or family members are going through a storm, you help each other. People committed to one another protect each other in the midst of a storm or when life gets hard and tough. And that's why Ecclesiastes says, two are better off than one. If one of them falls down, the other one can help. But someone who is alone and falls, it's just too bad because there's no one who can help. Life brings all kinds of storms, and we do need to protect our loved ones. And sometimes life brings storms of change, and at other times it brings storms of harmful ideas. But one of the most painful storms in life, as we know and we have experienced, is the storm of rejection. When your friend, your children, or your spouse feels rejected, you and others close to them need to rally around them as a raincoat in the storm. And then Rick describes a very personal moment in the midst of his family, and I share it with you. He said, many years ago, our oldest child, Amy, was in high school, and she tried out to be a cheerleader. She went to practice after practice after practice for tryouts. Eventually, her friends were accepted, but she was rejected. It broke her heart. And when she came home that day, she ran into her room, went into the closet, sat on the floor, and burst into tears. Everyone in our family, in the house, could hear Amy crying. And one by one, all of us on our own, we ended up walking into her room, sitting down on the floor in her closet, and crying with her. We didn't give her any advice. She didn't need advice. We didn't say, don't worry, it's no big deal. It was a big deal. We didn't say, don't cry. That's an insensitive thing to say to someone who's grieving. Instead, we just sat there, Rick said, maybe for 20 or 30 minutes and just cried with her. He said our family will never forget that incident. Why? Because at that important point in her life, we were being a raincoat for her. We were being a storm catcher. We were being a protector. Somebody in our family had been hurt, and we weren't demeaning it. We weren't trying to talk her out of it. We weren't trying to cheer her up. We just wept with her. Awesome families, biological, adoptive, or spiritual, protect each other in the storm. As we say at Hope, indeed, we are better together, especially when life's storms rage about us. So let me ask you this question. Who is a raincoat that you can be for this week? Is there somebody that you can provide and be a raincoat for this week? God bless. God bless. And remember, God loves you, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it. See you next time. Bye-bye now.